June 5th, 2007, I'm Sonic Sons, and this one goes out to NoobTube, in response to their recent podcast, episode 45, Odin Spear Pirates and Dawn of Mana. So, first of all, thanks you guys again for subscribing to me, but I already did a video on that. You talked in this one about several things. I won't go over each and everything. I haven't played all these games. But one thing that noted me was when Tom was saying how he was disappointed with Square Enix as of late. Now, me for one, I loved Final Fantasy XII. I don't know what you're really talking about there, though maybe if I'd played like all the Final Fantasy games previous, maybe I would have gotten tired by the formula by now, because I really just played like 12 and 10. And I didn't actually own those, I just borrowed them, which is why I haven't played all the other ones. Someday I have to play 7. Anyway. But it reminded me not so much about stuff I may or may not have with Square Enix, but about my own thing, Sonic Team. As you know, my internet name is here Sonic Sons, inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog and the Sun. It's a random, internet name. But Sonic the Hedgehog was always my favorite video game character way back in the day. Back when I had a Sega Genesis and I was like 8 years old or whatever, and I would play the original Sonic the Hedgehog and over and over and over and over, and just recently beat it. Now that I have it on Virtual Console. I got all the Chaos Emeralds. Anyway. But I've been asking myself in the last few years, what on earth happened to Sonic Team? You know, the guys that make these games. Because I don't know, man. It all started, I guess, we went into 3D. Well, first there was like the Sonic the Hedgehog 3D or whatever, which is more almost like a 2.5D, and that didn't really count. Then they made Sonic Adventure. Now, I actually first played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube. It was like the first game I got once the GameCube came out, and I got that. And I loved the game absolutely, and I still love it, even though I know it's a crappy game. Get to that in a second. They came out with Sonic Adventure on the DS, the Dreamcast. Poor old Dreamcast. You know, that system deserved to live a little longer. And they came out on the Dreamcast, and there was a lot of good reviews and stuff for it at first, and then it didn't age very well, which is what happens when we got around to Sonic Adventure 2, and, people really didn't like that nearly as much. I honestly think it was better, but it was like, by that time, the flaws in the formula are so much more apparent. What happened to Sonic Team, apparently, they first off got this idea that they had to do everything at once. It's Sonic Adventure. It's amazing. Like, there are 6 different characters to play, right? And they each have, like, their own storyline. And you have to, like, play through, the whole game is this one guy, and then this other guy, this other... You gotta play as Sonic, and you do, running around and stuff. And then you gotta play as, like, this robot, and you gotta shoot stuff. And then you gotta play as this giant cat, and you have to go fishing. And, like... The core thing, the Sonic running around thing, isn't as good as it should be. It's not as responsive. It's not as, it can be pretty cool, And for someone who absolutely loves Sonic, like myself, hey, I can enjoy this stuff. But they could have made it so much better, Not so much just faster, even though that's a big component. A lot of people say that the new Sonic games are not fast enough. Well, honestly, the old Sonic games, the 2D ones, weren't all that fast. They were fast for their time. What you really need is freedom, And I don't even mean, like, big world-exploring freedom, but just, like, this feeling of I can do whatever the freak I want, even in this limited context of running, even in a 2D space, right? I want to be able to, like, zip up a wall and jump here and there, and then, fly into some loop-de-loop almost accidentally, and then I flip out, and then I hit 3,000 other guys, and then, and I feel like I'm in control, and I feel like I'm doing all sorts of stuff. The speed is a component of freedom, is what makes Sonic really great. It's a particular kind of freedom to that. Which they didn't have as much as they should have, and so they did a Sonic Adventure, and they're apparently trying to do everything at once, and then they move on to Sonic Adventure 2, which eventually became Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, the one I played. And I absolutely loved the whole game, even though, like, once again, it's a crappy game. The running part isn't nearly as done so well. For one thing, guys, why don't you get yourselves an accelerate button? Like, how hard would that be? Instead of having to, like, start and run, and then I go fast, how about, like, zip? And then while I'm running, I go zip, 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 Have more agility? Can we do that? No, apparently not. They have, like, his charge-up attack, just, the one where he spins is of no purpose whatsoever, practically. And they had problems with the camera, and they had problems with the translation. I'm like, Tails' first scene, and he's flying, and he's like, well, it seems Sonic's been kidnapped, and he's been taken to Prison Island. Prison Island is an island where they keep prisoners. It's reinforced and super strong. I'm like, oh, reinforced and super strong. That's amazing. Oh, what are you gonna do? I mean, it did have a plot, which was nice, which was amazing for me when I first played it, because, you know, the previous Sonic games had no plot whatsoever, and this is like, there's something of a plot here. There's that Shadow character. That was pretty cool. So they split themselves again. They have, like, you have a third of the time running, and then a third of the time, and then you gotta, like, you know, you do this hunting thing with Knuckles, and you fly around or glide around, and you gotta find pieces of the Master Emerald. And then a third of your time is Tails running around shooting stuff, which would all be great, except for, like, they didn't really do the running part as good as it should be. Just focus on that. Oh, and they throw in these chows, which is like a Tamagotchi thing inside the system. They haven't even done this in Sonic Adventure. Like, as if it wasn't complicated enough to already have 6 different gameplay types to play. It's not like, you know, say Street Fighter, where, like, you may have 1,000 characters, but they all fight, right? No, this is like 6 different, completely different things they're doing, right? That's not complicated enough. They had to throw in these chows, and you can treat them like Tamagotchi things and feed them and pet them, and, like, you're splitting your interest everywhere. You know, it would be fine if all these were great things, but instead you've got like 17 mediocre things.